You've heard it before, and you'll probably hear it again, that the key to getting real results in your life or in your business is taking consistent, meaningful actions. And what does that actually mean? What does it mean to take consistent, meaningful action in your life and in your business? For many of us, it means that we have to be focused and super productive for a set amount of time, or it means big actions and big steps towards your goals. It doesn't have to be like that. Today's conversation on coaching for creatives is all about progress and the power of progress, and how even incremental steps that seem insignificant can still propel you meaningfully towards your dreams and your results. I'm Aura McKay. I'm your host for Coaching for Creatives. I'm the founder of Business of Creativity, and we are committed to bridging the gap between your creative skills and running a successful, profitable freelance business. So when it comes to taking meaningful, consistent action, a lot of my clients and the members of my mastermind group have struggled with, does it really count if I'm only spending 2 minutes doing something? Does it really count if I only spend 20 minutes looking at it? Doesn't it only count if I start something and then complete it? And I think that this has to do a little bit with to-do lists. I'm not sure if you're watching this live or on the replay. Drop a note. Do you like to-do lists? Do you use them? Do they work for you? What is your favorite thing about a to-do list? For me, I have experimented with all different kinds of to-do lists. I've experimented with different software and apps and programs, doing lists in Excel, using Evernote. And for me, the most effective way to sort of figure out where to focus my time and effort and energy, and which actions I need to take, is by using a pen and a paper and just writing it down. For me, that's the most effective. And I get huge satisfaction checking the things off the list. And for a lot of my clients, they really appreciate that too. They like to write things down so that they can check them off. And for those kinds of people, they really like the idea of breaking things down into tiny little bite-sized chunks and being able to check off a whole bunch of things on their list. And for those people, it might be a little bit easier to understand the power of progress, to see those incremental little checklists start to build up, or the crossing off of little things over time start to build up. And it can build up this sense of momentum and completion and progress. And there's huge energetic power in momentum in terms of how it can propel us forward and how it can support us to take the next action that might be a little bit more challenging. Hang on a second. It's a great metaphor, actually, with water, that, there's this idea that we all need to drink a certain amount of water during the day to stay hydrated. And for some people, the idea of drinking like a full glass of water all at once is overwhelming. For other people, the idea of constantly sipping over and over and over again is overwhelming. So part of what I'm kind of pointing to today is that each of us is going to have our own relationship with our to-do list. But that idea of having incremental pieces to be able to measure our relative progress before we get to that end, before we get to the actual completion of something, is really valuable in helping us maintain our optimism, our hope, our sense of purpose. The idea of progress is very integral to optimism, and optimism is integral to keeping on going. Many of my clients this week have been struggling with the why bothers Not just why bother setting goals, but why bother keep going in their business. They're finding that they're doing a lot of activity out in the world and aren't seeing the outcomes that they expect or that they're hoping for. And so it feels like they're not making any progress at all, or they're not, or the actions that they're taking don't matter and don't count. And so if all we're measuring is that one KPI, that one metric that everything's hanging on, that if you only measure your marketing success by the number of inquiries, you're missing out on the evidence of awesome. You're missing out on acknowledging the progress that you make on the journey along the way. For some people, you know, making a post on social media is a huge success, and it represents like a complete breakthrough in terms of achievement, where they have never posted on Instagram before. They've been avoiding it. They don't know how to do it. It occurs for them as this really huge obstacle. And for that person, making one post on Instagram is huge progress and massive success. And for someone else, making one post on Instagram might be a very small step in their overall marketing plan or marketing strategy. Regardless of whether it's big or small, it is still progress. And I think sometimes we get wrapped up in only measuring the stuff that counts. So my question for you is, who decides the stuff that counts? Isn't it us? Isn't it us as the business designer and the business builder that we get to decide what actually matters to us? And yes, there are some business metrics in the world, but along the way to those big in-game goals of, you know, closing the client and getting profit at the end of the year, or, you know, finishing a project, there's all different kinds of milestones along the way. One of the things that I use to measure progress is time, because time for me is measurable, but it also doesn't have to have a requirement of anything tangible produced in it. So a lot of times when we're feeling like we're not making progress is because we might be working on really big projects. And a lot of us right now are working on really big projects. We're working on the project called, you know, save our business from sinking in a pandemic, or we're working on a project called completely rethink how my business is going to operate in this new economy. Or we're working on a project called create new and exciting, compelling offers for my audience, for my target market. So whatever big project you're working on, the chances are you're not going to be able to get it done in an afternoon or an hour or in a week sometimes. So it's important to give yourself some markers to strive for, to indicate your progress, to feel like you're actually moving forward. It can be completely deflating. It can suck all of the hope and the possibility out of us when it feels like you're just grinding and grinding and grinding and hustling, and it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. That is the death knell to the entrepreneurial spirit. It's the thing that is most likely to take you out of the game, is that element of I'm working so hard and it's just not getting me anywhere. Check to see if that's even the truth, because sometimes what's happening is that we are getting somewhere and we are making progress. It's just that we're comparing ourselves to someone who's 5 years ahead of us on their journey, or who's a year ahead of us on their journey, or had extra coaching that we didn't have and we're having to like do it all ourselves. So when you look at your own relative position in the world and your own level of progress that you're making, remember to look at it in the context of your own life, of your own circumstances. Because if you look at it and you try to compare it to other people, it's hard to say whether or not you're really making any progress or whether you're far enough ahead. So give yourself that gift of compassion to only compare against yourself. The last thing that I'm going to offer you is that whatever way you decide you want to create incremental markers, whether, I wanted to talk a little bit more about time. So one of the things that comes up with time and progress is that some of my clients think that, well, if you're not going to give like 2 hours to it, then it's not worth doing. Or I'll say to them, here's your assignment. You're going to go home and you're going to write out your first draft of the categories of services that you are going to offer in your business. And they'll say something like to me, like, well, and I'll say, how long will you commit to invest in this task? So I've given them a task, and then I ask, how long will you commit to invest in this task? And they will usually stammer and stutter and reply with something, well, I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take to get it done. And the key here is that I'm not asking them to complete the task. I'm asking them to commit to a specific amount of time to invest in that task, whether it gets done or not, so that they can have something to check off. Did you do 2 hours in your task? Yes or no? Yeah, you did it. You can check it off, whether or not the task itself gets completed. So giving yourself time chunks as a way of measuring and creating milestones can help you really see your progress. Yes, I invested 2 hours today and 2 hours the next day and 5 hours the next day, and I'm halfway done. Isn't that great? Now, for most people, they really get attached to the idea of these big chunks of time in order to measure their progress. The last thing I want to leave you with is that it doesn't have to be big, huge, significant kinds of tasks that you do. We place the meaning on it. We place the significance on it. Even 2 minutes every day, just journaling about your business vision, or spending time meditating on what really matters to you when you serve your clients, or reviewing your intention for the week. Those 2 minutes are powerful 2 minutes, because I guarantee you that less than half of your colleagues or competitors are spending even that amount of time thinking about their business or looking at their business or focusing on their dreams or goals. 2 minutes is enough time. A tiny action is enough of an action. You can tip over an entirely huge, like 1 pound domino if you start with just a little millimeter high domino. I will post you the video to that metaphor, because it's so powerful to see how one tiny action can then cause a ripple for huge and massive change to happen down the road. So you never know what the 2 minutes that are going to make all the difference. So give yourself permission to progress. You don't have to complete all the time in order to be productive. Start measuring in terms of time increments completed, or give yourself other meaningful milestones that you can aim for and feel like you've made some progress on. It will help to develop a sense of momentum. It will help to give you motivation and meaning. It will help to compel you to take bigger and bigger actions, because you're starting to create a habit of success and actions that matter. So I encourage you to consider, where can you set up 2-minute actions or mini milestones to help you have a sense of progress in your life or business. That's today's Coaching for Creatives. As always, I love hearing your comments, what resonated with you, what you're going to take away and apply in a 2-minute action. And I will see you here next week on Coaching for Creatives. I'm Aura McKay, the founder of Business of Creativity. Have a fantastic week. Bye, guys.